Nick's forecast today, and today's Martin Luther King Day, 17th January. Anyways, just going to talk to you a little bit today about no hidden secrets in real estate, because it's really not. I've been seeing a lot of these people out there talking about it and doing gimmick stuff, which is cool, but there's really no secrets to read. The secret weapon of real estate, and I don't care if you're an investor, buyer, real estate agent, mortgage broker, the real secret to real estate is two things. One is what you can qualify is financing, funding for deals, residential or commercial. And the next thing is basically how much money you have in the bank. Your whole goal is to put the least amount of cash out to secure the deal to make it profitable, whether you're going to rent it out, you're going to flip it, or just keep it as long. There's no secrets that they keep talking about, but there's not. And I've gone through a lot of different areas, doing different types of seller carrybacks, land contracts, seller real estate contracts, lease options or buyer options, however you want to term it. There's no stated, and there's no docs and deals where you can buy properties, the VA loans. But even doing commercials, no secrets, but you can still get sellers to do a carryback, or you might be able to get a contract out of doing a commercial deal, or you might be able to do a commercial deal where you put down a certain amount of money and the seller will take the rest, which is a carryback. And it's just a deal between you and the seller. There are no secrets in the real estate game. People keep trying to say this, and I keep hearing people say it, but I've heard them talk, and they're on the secrets. There's no little hidden bells and whistles. It gets down to financing and how you can work the financing. You put together deals and how the deals were written up. That's why you need a competent real estate agent and a competent mortgage broker that's going to understand it, because you're financing, you have to have an underwriter that has to look at it, and the underwriter is going to have 2 or 3, it could be 4 sign-offs, especially if it's a commercial deal. Residential deal could have 2 to 3 sign-offs, and it has to make sense to the underwriter. So you have to have all your stuff together. So I don't do it for care if you're buying an apartment building, you're buying a $500 million commercial building, a $1 billion commercial building, or you're buying a $50,000 half acre somewhere and out in the middle of nowhere, or whatever. Real estate's real estate, and there's no really secrets to doing any deals. If there are secrets, it's in the small details. And that's the same thing like in the military, doing missions and stuff. It's the small deals. The small deals are what basically set the small deals is what sets everybody apart, is doing the small stuff. It's the small stuff, and every time you're planning a mission, it's the small details. If you're a soldier, it's a small detail, or Navy, sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guardian, whatever. Same thing being a real estate agent and a mortgage broker. What separates an investor too? It separates the real estate agent, mortgage brokers from everybody else is the small stuff. And if you go to the DNA activators at ilovemarketing.com and download it, which I suggest you do. I don't care if you're an investor, buyer, seller, you're in business, you own other businesses, you should be studying that. It's the detail stuff. If there's a secret in anything, that would be it. And that's not a secret. That's scaled whatever you do. So if you're a real estate agent, maybe you gain over from, you were a sales representative, you were in tech sales, you were selling over the phone, you were selling steel, hardware, you're manufacturing, or it's the detail stuff that you do is what's going to separate you from everybody else. Small detail stuff you're going to do in planning. It's like when you go for a listing appointment, or if you're doing a buyer, having a plan ready, what you're going to do, the buyer or seller, how you're going to execute it, what you're going to do for them. And actually doing it, when I had a check the buyer pre-email back when I'd send something in the mail, and I checklist off with a date every time that you did something. And so, yeah, there have people that have buyer guarantees. Coldwell Banker used to do that with a buyer guarantee deal and seller guarantee deal. I don't know if they still do it. I don't think they got in some legal trouble with that. You can still add that as a main thing. You can do that, but if you have a if you have a list that you're going to do for the sellers and the buyers and things you're going to do, that's what you need. If you're an investor, you're going to have a detailed list of stuff that you're going to do. And that's just part of it. It's going to be in your planning process. And when you're buying your, you're buying a 20 unit apartment building or a 50 unit apartment building, and you're forking out $3 million or $6 million. I'm just making this up. And you're putting down 600,000 or 500,000 or whatever, and you have this much to finance, you're still gonna have a detailed list of stuff that you need to do, things you need to go over, getting your deal together, talking to your agent, your mortgage people, getting that all scored away, getting your finance lined up, going with your agent deal proposal, going through the checklist of things you need done, tests that you want done. If you do inspections on the property after you get it, you have your LLC set up, or you're going to have an outside somebody do it to do your leasing and taking care of them and all that stuff. Are you going to do it yourself? I mean, it's planning. If you're a real estate agent, you go into a listing, the pre-listing is, how did you get the lead? What kind of follow-up did you do getting the lead? You got the lead, and basically you go in, you check the house out. Then after you check the house out, you're going to come back and do another appointment. Sometimes people do this, sometimes they don't. Usually I used to do this. Sometimes you do another appointment and you go ahead and get the listing, and then you have your action plan. But that's all part of your action plan anyways, of what you're going to do. And like I said, you should get the book Persuasion from Robert Cialdini, and then Persuasion, that's basically the other book that he had on it. And he did studies for different things as far as real estate goes and other industries to check out and see what they did. So what I'm saying to you is that it's all in your planning. That's basically little stuff. The buyers, same thing. You're meeting with your people, what you're due, expectations, what your plan is, how you're going to execute, and then what you're going to do, pre, and then basically then there's the pre there's the pre, and there's the pre of what you're going to do, then in the middle, after, and then after that, it's almost 6 items. And I mean, the 2 pre's is basically pre-list, pre-buyer, how did you get the lead, and basically before you go out and get the listing, you're going to go meet the people, depending on how you're going to work that. The middle, after you got the listing, or after you're in the middle of a deal stuff. So there are no secrets from real estate. A lot of it just gets down to detail and the things that you do. And that's what separates people out, estate agent, mortgage brokers. That's why, even though I'm a type A to the max, but why I got so many deals closed, so did my cousin, is the reason we got tons of deals closed is because we have paid attention to the detail, and details was a deal. I mean, Kinder Reed, even though they took Greg Proctor, but if you look at the detailed list, we'll have 90 things. Whether they do it or not, who knows? I've known some realtors in Seattle that followed it, and they'd go through and do it, and they'd make sure that they got an email to the seller to check off all the stuff that they did. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the date, and they send it off. And so, I did that anyways a long time back, before I always had checklists and stuff like that. And that was for each person, each deal, and that kind of stuff. But I always had it pretty thorough, so I knew what I was doing. I had to learn this the hard way, because I had an idiot broker when I first started who didn't show me anything, because the broker I had got fired in the first month, and this other guy took over. Then I went to another place after I got fired, or franchise shop, which was probably dumb on my part. And I went there, and the broker was cool, but I was only there 6 months, 5 months before I bailed out of there, maybe 6 months. I bailed out there, went to 100% shop, said goodbye, and I started doing mortgages. Actually, I think it was about 6 months or so. And it was the same type of incompetence that I saw at this other shop. Even though the broker was cool, the guy's semi-retired now. He still does real estate, doesn't need to, because he was a multimillionaire a long time back. But he was incompetent too, didn't show you anything, didn't do anything. But there's one thing I gave him credit for, which is, this is going a long way. As much as he had a lot of knowledge about real estate, finance was so, but he had knowledge, pretty good step to knowledge, and he was a broker for a long time, designated broker. But one thing he did was separates him from a lot of real estate companies. I've been to a few different real estate companies in the past. Some I've been, the other companies I've been to pretty long term. There was him and this one other broker that I had, and she's still doing real estate, and she has her own company in Seattle. They stuck up for their brokers. I mean, real estate agents, and that's a big deal. And they were highly detailed in the stuff that they did. So these are things you need to think about being a real estate agent or mortgage broker. Is that if you're an investor, you're a buyer, and you're going to list your property, and maybe it's the first home you sold listing, you're a buyer, you're doing stuff, you need to create your own checklist to things you need to do, like finding a real estate agent, a mortgage broker. Do not go to a bank because banks are not very good and their appraisers are bad. Going to a credit union, not very good unless you're going to build a bunch of houses and you got credit's really high and you got some money in the bank. Or sometimes in some commercial deals like apartment buildings, sometimes they're okay, they're kind of lenient. Sometimes if you're going to do a flip special on the apartment building and turn it into condos, I'm going on that, but I stay away from it. I go to a mortgage broker. So you make a detailed list of what you do as a buyer, things you need to do. Make sure you got all your affairs in order. You're checking all your credit, making sure that your score's up there, making sure you got debt paid down to low debt ratio or no debt at all. Make sure you got your money in the bank, or if you're going to pull out your 401k, you're going to do all the stuff you want to do it before you do the deal. People do this, but if you're going to buy a house, pull your money out of your 401k early and keep it in a checking account or savings account or whatever, and have that ready to go so you don't have to screw around and wait for it, because it can take time sometimes to get money out of your 401k. So, like I said, it's all in the details. There are no hidden secrets in real estate. The only, if there were a hidden secret, like I said, if you want to count it, is details. And that's it. And it gets down to two things: how much cash you got and the financing. Having a decent real estate agent and mortgage broker knows what they're doing. Especially if you're an investor, you need to look at that too, and how detailed they are and what they do. Like my cousin, we had a lot of clients that work with us for so long. They did so many deals with us, commercial deals, residential deals. They're buying tons of them. I had one family that referred over, 10-year period. They referred about 7 to 10 deals a year, easy. And this family alone bought probably over 80, 90 properties from me anyway. So, and that was all the family. So it was pretty cool. I had to do my cousin the same thing, but we knew what we were doing because we've been in real estate so long, but no one had our knowledge of residential, commercial real estate and finance. So this is a big deal. That's why I always tell you is when you're checking, if you're an investor or buyer or seller, checking out your real estate agent, you want to ask them these questions about how detail oriented are. And a detail oriented one is going to bring you something in their hands. They're going to have a plan. They're going to tell you what they're going to do, and they're going to do it. Sometimes some parts of the plan may not apply to your property. It's just the way it is, because some stuff just doesn't apply if it's not a high-end super property or if it's a commercial deal. But they're going to, like I used to have detail plan. If it was commercial, it was apartment building, it was a commercial building, land, a house, they were all different. So residential is basically a single family or a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. They all kind of follow the same plan generally. But there are some things in plan you may not do because it might not apply to that. Also, too, buyer the same way. Do they have a plan? What are they going to show you? Are they going to go through with it? Are they going to spend the time to talk to you about it? And you can see that kind of stuff when they talk and the detail they talk about. So these are things that you need to know, especially if you're doing purchase and sale agreements, you're doing complicated deals. Like I told you before about moving notes. Well, let's say I go and buy a house. I have a seller doing a 20% carryback, or 25%, 75 to 80%. By the way, the more carryback that the seller takes and the less the bank has to fund, the easier it is for the bank to fund it. Also, too, do you have your property ready to go if you're going to move that note? Well, that note, if you're going to move, don't move that note for at least a week. I'm just telling you right now, this to be safe. You have to contact your real estate attorney, do it. Don't be afraid to contact your real estate attorney. I would tell people usually wait 2 weeks. A week is fine, but I usually say wait 2 weeks. Wait 2 full weeks, then move your note. Even though it's past, I've just seen some things in the past where some incidents happened. 2 weeks always before I moved everything. That's just some suggested advice. contact your real estate attorney and ask. And basically, you need to get that paperwork scored away. It has to be done with a purchase and sale agreement. And basically, that paperwork is going to be separate, because that's going to be a separate deal, a separate side deal with the seller. And so that has to be included separately from the actual purchase and sale itself. So you need to think about these things. Don't be afraid to consult a real estate attorney if you have to. But these are things you have to think, things you need to think about, because it's a detail-oriented type of business. And there's a lot of, it took me a little while. I'll be the first to admit it, doing some purchase and sale stuff. That's how I got fired in one. I got fired on one deal, purchase and sale, because of the front page of the transaction. And I got some bad advice from my broker that I was at. And this is where I got fired on, but he gave me the bad advice because he was trying to CYA for him and blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people in my office didn't even know about it until I got fired and I was moved, and they tried putting me on the stuff. Because this is when I started out. If I had the money, I would have sued him. I would have sued his wife. I would have sued the owner. I would have sued this one. I would have sued the administrative center for trash. I would have sued all five of them in the lawsuit. And I would have won in court, because I talked to an attorney a couple years later, but it wasn't worth doing to sue anybody just at that time. I could have done it, but it just wasn't worth the time doing it. But I probably could have walked out with a big payday on that one, because I doubt I would have won it, and they probably would have settled it, because I would have hit their E&O policy. But like I said, it was a detail thing, and I wasn't given all the details, and I was still a chair agent. That was the month I did 10 deals in the first 6 months. So, a lot of it gets to detail, and all the purchase and sale agreements, you need to know the details. So if you're a buyer, you're a seller, you're still going to buy another person's property. It's good to know this kind of stuff as a detail, because being able to structure the deals, not everybody's doing cash. 99% of the deals, let's just say 98% of the deals, maybe 97% of the deals are all finance or not cash. And the big players that make the money, like Grant Cardone just bought a $40 million property in Malibu. That was on the press yesterday or the day before. And he can do it, working on the passive income, because he can refinance his properties. That's why he's worth $1.3 billion. And so you can do that. You can work, and that's why I buy 6 debt. So, you can work at how you structure deals. And one of these days, I'll get in a lot about how to structure different types of deals with you, so you know what you're doing. And like I said, I see these videos of these different people buy zero down, do this and that, but they don't really tell you how to structure deals. They don't understand finance, how to do it. That's why I put all the stuff out there, because there are no secrets in real estate. There are none. And I've read a ton of books on real estate, and I kind of laugh because some of the stuff in there isn't going to, it's not going to work. It's going to be different in different states, depending on how the laws apply. And also, too, like I said, most of the people are working with real estate agents anyways, and most of them don't know what they're doing. A lot of real estate agents don't know how to structure anything. They don't know how to write it up and properly. And that's kind of a bad hit on free. But that's why I'm kind of going over some of the stuff now. The reason is because you need to know this stuff as far as the as far as structuring some of the deals and putting stuff together. And so, like I said before, a lot of it just gets down to being able to structure the deals properly. Sorry, checking some stuff. Anyways, start checking basically the structure of the deal, how it's put together, but it's still going to get down to finance. I don't care if it's residential or commercial. So, like I said before, the biggest thing, the worst secret, anything is the details of how to put. Now, if it's all cash, I've never seen a big deal, even if they're all cash. I see things go wrong. So you need to think that. Also, too, I want to remind this to you. This is a big deal. If you're doing a purchase and sale agreement, and your agent says to cross this out and put something new in that spot and initial it, don't sign it. Tell your agent to do a fresh new purchase and sale agreement, the front page, and do it again. I know that the transaction, it'll change a little bit. You need to do it fresh and line out the do a new one. The buyer's agent's going to piss, but who gives a damn? Listing agents are generally going to get pissed. But even the listing agents may have to do it. Buyer's agents may have to do it. So I'm pissed about doing it, but that's what you want to do. Like I said, consult an attorney if you need to. But if there's going to be a change on that, generally I don't want to do it initial off. I used to do stupid things like that, and I stopped. An attorney of mine who's well versed in real estate and finance basically told me just do a brand new page and do it. I even had one guy who's a real estate agent, I was a broker, had his own company, he used to talk about that. So I just, a long time ago, I stopped doing it. On the front page, we're going to do it over again. Don't initial and date it. I'd rather you just go ahead and void it out and just do a brand new front page on there. And if you have to do a brand new 3 or 4 or 5 pages of your multiple one, to just do it and do it correctly. And there's just going to be less hassle. And basically what it is, they can take it out, they can add it and keep it in there, or they may just, depending on how their designated broker wants it set, if they take them out there or add it to the purchase sale. Most time the wholesale rep will just tell them to take it out and just, add those pages in. But anyways, but initially in dating isn't really a good idea. If you're doing an addendum, if you have to do a brand new addendum, do it. You can still keep the front page if you need to, if that's how your designated broker owner wants it, fine. Do a new addendum, but just do it correctly. And that's another thing too. It's a detail-oriented thing. Usually I just do the front page. If I had to, I just do it again. So I would just do a whole new 2 or 3. I think multiple. We had 4 or 5 pages, and I might just do it again and just redo it. So, and they're always changing and adding stuff. Remember, those purchase and sale agreements and all the addendums, those are geared toward the real estate brokerage and not towards the buyer or seller. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. It's not geared towards the real estate agent either so much. They're just not, because everything goes into court, even though they'll say, oh, the multiple listing said this, you can't use that as precedent. They have to use case law in the state. And that's just something you just pick up from going through doing a lot of deals. So like I said, if you have to, consult a real estate attorney, consult your tax account if you need some financial stuff. Like I said, don't be afraid to call an attorney if you need to, have one on staff, or, just go ahead and rent one out for a little while. If you need to do it. You can always put there in a purchase and sale to have it. Now, if you're in a hot market, I mean, if you're in a hot market and you put in a term review for 3 days, that probably won't fly. They'll just boot you out. But don't be afraid to have an attorney look at it at any time if you don't feel comfortable. Whatever, real estate agent's not shooting it straight, or you don't agree with the mortgage broker, then go ahead and consult your real estate attorney if you need to. But remember, real estate attorneys can be deal killers too, especially in commercial deals. They can be real killers. Sometimes they can be good, sometimes they can be bad. I've just seen it go different directions. So like I said before, there are no hidden secrets in real estate. They're just not. The biggest thing is detail and how the transaction is going to be structured, depending on what kind of deal you're doing. I don't care if the house is, $100 million, $190 million. A lot of it's still going to be written up. A lot of it's the same. There'll be some different disclosures in there to hide the owner's true identity. They'll buy it through an LLC, blah, 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 blah. Most of the time it's always cash. Sometimes they'll go ahead and put cash and they'll finance some of it just to get, but the deal's still going to be written up, and it's still going to be on a purchase and sale agreement. And they're still going to do an attorney review, and the attorney addendums just to safeguard the buyer. Sellers do it too if they're doing an expensive place or whatever. But the agents, do what they need to do that to make sure it gets to escrow, and then both sides commit to closing it. So, and the agents got to get paid because they're the ones that put all the listing, put all the cash up to go ahead and do it, or they got some money from the seller when you get an expensive listing and they did that. I've done that before. I've told the agent, I was an agent and I would list a multi-million-dollar property, and I told the seller, hey, I want this much up for advertising and blah, 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 blah. And that's what I got. And sometimes, the property was overpriced or whatever, and this and that, I would walk away. But that's a detail thing because I knew the knowledge of the neighborhood and the property, and I knew it was overpriced. I wouldn't take it. And some other agent got it and sat there for 8 months, and I get a call back, hey, can you come and list it? And I just sometimes I'd walk, and I just say, okay, list at this price, and you'll be able to drop it in 30 days to walk away. But it's a detail thing. So a lot of it's the details. If your agent scored away and they know the knowledge of the area, you go ahead and do it. A lot of agents will take a listing at any price. I won't do it. I didn't need to, because remember, I had a lot of tops spinning at once, so I didn't really give a damn either way. And a lot of times after the agent that took it over, or a couple agents that took it over and they got fired, they always came back and I always got what I wanted. There's just one agent in Seattle area. He's been around a long time. He's in his 70s now, but his son's been doing it a long time, and they'll walk away from listings if they know it's overpriced. But one thing about these two agents, they had really good detail. So anyways, that's all. Subscribe to my channel. If you got any questions, go ahead and get contact me at nickforecast.com or Facebook at nickforecast. Have a good day.